tonight, folks, is coming from an incident and from an event which happened 28 years back. Of course, the final touches to that event took place just a few months back when finally, when the Supreme Court decision was passed in the context of who is the owner of the so-called disputed territory in Ayodhya. Now, today, a UP court, which has been looking at this entire case of who were the people who were responsible for supposedly becoming a part and parcel of a criminal conspiracy which led to the destruction of the Babri Masjid way back on the 6th of December 1992. This lot of people that you see were the people who faced charges, who faced allegations, from L.K. Advani to Murli Manoj Joshi to Kalyan Singh to Vinay Katiyar to Uma Bharti to Sabi Jitambara, Bal Thackeray and Ashok Singhal, no more now. But the simple question which was being raised before the UP court was that was there a pre-planned conspiracy to demolish the Babri Masjid? And if there was this pre-planned conspiracy, then were these the people who were responsible for being the fulcrum, for being the key ingredients of that pre-planned conspiracy? 28 years down the line, 28 years of public money being spent, 28 years of court's time being spent has finally led us to this situation where this court, the special CBI court, has determined that actually there is no one who's responsible for destruction of the Babri Masjid. Only God knows, maybe Ramlala knows how that masjid was demolished, and there is nothing that can be proven against anybody. Not enough evidence. There were reams of audio evidence, there were reams of video evidence which were presented by the investigators. The CBI court today has said that neither this audio-video evidence nor any other circumstantial evidence is strong enough for the judge to hold anybody guilty of being involved in a conspiracy. The fundamental difference over these last 28 years has been just this. The BJP has always looked at events of 6th of December 1992 as the culmination of what they thought was a big political movement, not a conspiracy, but a big political movement. A big political movement which was given the name of Ram Rath Yatra, Ayodhya Janmabhoomi Yatra. Various names were given by L.K. Advani when he became the most famous Yatri of Indian politics, all the way from 1980 when the BJP came into existence as a political outfit, all the way till 1992. Today, while that Yatri's political career, of course, is towards the fag end, and he really has no relevance, many would say, in the given context of the BJP situation. But for us, 28 years down the line, to be told that there was no one who was guilty for destruction of the Babri Masjid, is that justice? Is that not justice? Is this plain politics? Is this something which was bound to happen after the Supreme Court itself had passed this order? That's a fundamental question that we need to look at tonight. Bear in mind, 28 years have been spent. First up, take a look at what is being stated today by all the key stakeholders, from Murli Manoj Joshi to L.K. Advani. How are all of them looking at this dramatic day today? Take a look at this.
स्पेशल कोर्ट का आज का जो निर्णय हुआ है वह अत्यंत महत्वपूर्ण है और हम सब के लिए बहुत खुशी का प्रसंग है।
आज लखनऊ की सीबीआई कोर्ट ने एक ऐतिहासिक निर्णय दिया है और वो निर्णय इस बात को सिद्ध करता है कि 6 दिसंबर को अयोध्या में हुई घटनाओं के लिए कोई षड्यंत्र या किसी प्रकार का ऐसा आयोजन नहीं था, वो अचानक हुआ है। हमारा स्वयं का आंदोलन जो भारतीय जनता पार्टी की तरफ से राम मंदिर के निर्माण के लिए सहयोग के रूप में किया जा रहा था, श्री अडवाणी जी के नेतृत्व में और भारतीय जनता पार्टी के उस समय के अध्यक्ष के रूप में जो मैं उसमें सहयोग कर रहा था, उस सब का एकमात्र उद्देश्य जन जागरण करना और राम मंदिर के लिए देश भर में एक जनमत और एक प्रकार का वायुमंडल तैयार करना था और तथ्यों को लोगों के सामने रखना था।
देखिए, पूरे पूरे राष्ट्र को बधाई, सभी को मैं बधाई देता हूँ। चलिए 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 चलिए, बहुत ऐतिहासिक क्षण है और ये सदियों से जो संघर्ष चल रहा था आज विजय हुई है। जो कांग्रेस ने एक साजिश के तहत अभियोग पंजीकृत कर दिया था।
फैसला पूरी तरह एविडेंस और कानून के खिलाफ है। 1994 से लेकर सुप्रीम कोर्ट और हाई कोर्ट सब कहते रहे हैं कि ये क्राइम कमिट हुआ है और इस प्राइम ऑफेस ही कॉन्स्पिरेसी का भी लोग ऑब्जर्वेशन हुए हैं, हाई कोर्ट के भी, सुप्रीम कोर्ट के भी। और इसलिए ये कहना, और फिर इम्पॉर्टेंट गवाह पेश हुए हैं जो पुलिस के आला अफसरान हैं, मीडिया के लोग हैं, सब ने इनको नामजद किया है। जो आडवाणी वगैरह तकरीरें कर रहे थे, जो कह रहे थे कि बाबरी मस्जिद एक धक्का और दो, बाबरी मस्जिद तोड़ दो, तो वो 198 क्राइम है, ये 197 क्राइम, दोनों को उन्होंने बरी कर दिया। फैसला बिल्कुल गलत है, हम इसके खिलाफ चुनौती देंगे हाई कोर्ट में।
All right, let's straight away welcome our big guest. We've got a special panel tonight. Vijay Shankar Pandey, former retired civil servant who actually was in Ayodhya the very next day after the demolition of the Babri Masjid took place, and he was posted as collector of Faizabad. Juhi Singh, spokesperson of the Samajwadi Party, Gopal Krishna Agarwal, spokesperson of the BJP, will also be joined by K.N. Bhatt, who has represented Lord Ram himself in this entire case. Well, Vijayji, let me begin with you. 28 years down the line, Vijayji, the CBI court basically wants us to believe none of the people who were facing charges, who were facing these allegations, whether it's Sakshi Maharaj or Uma Bharti or L.K. Advani or a whole host of other VHP, Bajrang Dal, BJP leaders, nobody is responsible. Nobody is guilty of conspiracy. Is this justice for you, Vijayji?
Bhupenji, it is very, very shocking and surprising that this crime took place in front of everyone. Whole country was watching, and still, and 28 years after, the court pronounces that nobody is guilty. Now the question is, the structure got demolished, so somebody demolished it, and some people must have been behind it who got it demolished. So the court just cannot wash its hands by saying there's no evidence. Either CBI has failed the nation and produced no evidence, or concocted the evidence in such a way that nobody is found guilty, or the court totally, I'll say, poorly analyzed the evidence, and which led to the conclusion that nobody is responsible. You may say that, there was conspiracy theory had some lacuna, but the fact remains that that structure got demolished in front of everyone. I joined the district 7th night, and I can tell you, people briefed me that there was some kind of preparation going on 2 days before the day the incident took place, and lot of things were purchased from the local market to use those implements for demolition of the structure and all. So just saying that nobody is responsible for the demolition of the structure and none has been found guilty is shocking. There are two facts. One, either you reinvestigate and find out who else, if they are not, then who are the others who are responsible, or revisit the judgment, because you can't just live in a situation that, the most contentious criminal case in our country's history, and you just declare that nobody found guilty. It's a very, very
if I may put it this way, Vijay, if I may put it this way, you see the likes of L.K. Advani, Murli Manoj Joshi, and a whole host of other BJP leaders have never shied away from acknowledging their role or their involvement in the political movement, which was started off by L.K. Advani through his various Rath Yatras in 80s and early 90s to demand the construction of a Ram temple. When the likes of L.K. Advani say that we are proud of our association with the movement, but we were never a part of the conspiracy, how do these two contrarian viewpoints hold together, Vijayji?
Bhupenji, if somebody wants to believe this and wants to buy this argument, it is up to them. But it's very clear. It was done with a design. Once you say that राम लला हम आएंगे, मंदिर वहीं बनाएंगे, तो मंदिर वहां बनेगा तो मस्जिद तो जाएगी ना, मस्जिद को गिरना पड़ेगा तभी तो मंदिर बनेगा, कि आप मंदिर को मस्जिद ऊपर बना देंगे. इट वाज वेरी क्लियर. दूसरा, बाबरी मस्जिद तोड़ दो, एक धक्का और दो, these kind of slogans we heard, And we were in service, and we used to hear it. Newspaper used to print it. That there were no TV channels then. That's why it couldn't come in the electronic media. But the fact remains. Today, some organizations like VHP and RSS and BJP cannot say that they had no role to play in this demolition. They may not be directly. You can say that there were no evidence to show that directly they incited people or did something on that particular day. But who organized all these crowds? Who organized all the Rath Yatra? Who went all along saying that hum wahi par banayenge and it has to go? And Babri ki these facts just cannot be ignored. And if any court does it, I'm sorry, the court has
Well, let me
failed
bring in the lawyer then.
I'll
Let me
say
bring in the lawyer
analyze
on the
that.
panel. Let me bring in the lawyer Vijayji on the panel then. K.N. Bhatt, one of the foremost legal voices of the country and someone who was associated with this entire Ram Janmabhoomi case. He was the one who was actually representing Lord Ram. The Lord himself was being represented by K.N. Bhatt in this entire case, which was being heard. Mr. Bhatt, look at what Vijay Shankar Pandey says, and there is some merit in his argument, Bhatt Saab, that if you say Ram Lala hum aayenge, mandir wahan banayenge, and if you make provocative speeches of the kinds which were made by the likes of Uma Bharti, Sadhvi Ritambara, then how is it that the Judge S.K. Yadav takes his position that I can't go by the audio and video evidence? Is this legal lacuna or is it a compromised judgment, Mr. Bhatt?
You are asking me?
Yes, sir. I'm asking you, sir.
Please repeat the question. I couldn't hear it.
So I want you to throw some light on the fact that the judge who's delivered this judgment says that he cannot go on the basis of the audio and video evidence which was presented before him. Whereas Vijay Shankar Pandey himself as Collector Faizabad is pointing out there was enough and more evidence which existed of the kind of fiery, provocative speeches which were made by the likes of Uma Bharti and Sadhvi Ritambara. Ram Lal hum aayenge, mandir wahi banayenge. So mandir will be built only if the masjid gets destroyed. Was that not evidence enough? How is that not conspiracy, Mr. Bhatt?
Gopal, these are the matters now to be decided in the appellate court. Okay, if it is, there are much to be said on both sides, but this is a matter today. As on today, the trial judge has decided that he can't go and convict anybody on the basis of this evidence. And now whether this evidence is admitted or not admissible, these are the matters now left to the appellate court.
No, but sir, that I know that ultimately it has to be decided one way or the other in a higher court. But
yes,
when after 28 years, sir, 28 years of legal scrutiny, the judge comes to this position that there is nothing in the entire investigation, then what does one say about the investigation and what does one say about the judicial process, Mr. Bhatt?
You know, Bhupen, that about 10 years ago, till then, because they were all discharged even before the trial. And then this matter went to the Supreme Court, and Supreme Court directed that no, you have to retry it. And that is how the case is now here. Otherwise, about I think 10 or 15 years ago, the trial court has said that prima facie there is no evidence and I can't continue the trial. So there was all the accused were discharged. And then Supreme Court Justice Rohinton Nariman, he in his judgment said that no, this it's a shame that such a crime, I put it within inverted commas, can go without even a trial. So that is how the trial proceeded.
And ultimately the trial proceeded, but ultimately we'll come back to the same conclusion. Gopal Krishna Agarwal, how do I look at the situation, Mr. Agarwal then? Mr. Bhatt is pointing out that the Supreme Court was unhappy with the state of play. The case then goes back to a special court. The special court has delivered its judgment. Should Indian citizens then live with this reality that the Babri Masjid got demolished on its own? Nobody destroyed it, but it just got demolished on its own.
No, Vipin, there are 3-4 things you should all understand. It is not that the Babri, that disputed structure has been demolished on its own. The thing which came to the Supreme Court today and what the judgment they have said is there is no conspiracy theory which involves these people. we are never saying, or Advani ji or Uma ji or anybody or BJP and RSS, that we did at any point of time did not want the grand temple to be built at that place. We always stand and were always saying that the Ram Janmabhoomi stands there and that place requires a
Shall I
huge.
repeat for you? Gopal bhai, shall I repeat for you the kind of statements, the kind of speeches which were made by Sadhvi Ritamra? Shall I repeat for you the kind of statements which were made both by L.K.
No,
Advani and
no,
Uma Bharti?
Bhupendra
Vijay
ji,
Shankar Pandey is pointing out, ek dhakka aur do. Ek dhakka aur do,
no,
what does it mean? Ek dhakka aur do, Babri Masjid tod do. Then how is
no,
it that this was not? How is it that you say that this was not a conspiracy? Nobody is involved in this.
no, the thing is that we were all, those people who are there, even we were also involved in the whole agitation purposes. My father went there, I was there in locally arrested. So the thing is that everybody from BJP or RSS wanted a huge temple, and it was since long that were agitating on the ground and everywhere. But we believe in a democratic setup. We were saying, everybody was saying that we want a huge temple there, but within a democratic means. The thing is, what has come to the court today, and where I think is the judgment is there, that there was a conspiracy, pre-defined, determined conspiracy to demolish that structure, and that conglomeration was done with that purpose. That is what the court has said, that they did not find any evidence to it and their involvement into predetermined conspiracy. That
You really
the
believe that?
conglomeration.
Gopalji, you tell me yourself, Gopalji, let's for a moment, if you were not a BJP spokesperson, tell me as an
Yeah.
ordinary citizen, an ordinary thinking, individual, educated individual, Gopalji, you really believe this? That people in this country will believe that Mr. Advani, Kalyan Singh, Rajnath Singh, Uma Bharti, Sadhvi Ritamra, the entire rank and file of the RSS, VHP, Bajrang Dal, BJP combined together. Everyone was asking for a Ram temple, but nobody knew what was to happen on the 6th of December 1992. Is that,
No,
you really believe that?
it is not that we are saying nobody knew. It is that these persons who are 32 are accused and were accused and now today acquitted. They were not part of the conspiracy. There is no evidence that they had a pre-planned conspiracy to demolish that structure. Even at that time, if you look into what Advani ji and other people said, that they were so much astonished. The thing is that nobody is denying that we as a ideological group or parivar, we always wanted a huge temple, and we are happy that the Supreme Court has now given the verdict in favor of the Hindus, and we are part of that huge building of the temple at that.
No. But that's a separate question. You see,
Thing is
that's
that
what I'm trying to
there
say.
is a
Juiji,
conspiracy and the
look at how when I ask a question related to factual involvement in conspiracy, Gopal Krishna Agarwal takes us to the Supreme Court judgment. Now I'm talking about the special court judgment which has been delivered today, which is limited in the context of whether the individuals who were facing these allegations were they involved in the conspiracy or not. Now, what has happened today, Juiji? Is this justice for you? Do you think this judgment will now put a closure on what happened on the 6th of December 1992?
Bhupen, the judgment today, I can only define it as, I think, an act of God, where there were these people who were been acquitted were acting as messengers of God, relaying emotional messages, and these souls, anti-social people, they've been caught. They were naive enough to believe them and went and broke the masjid, ripped apart the social fabric completely, and it reiterates my fact that the BJP actually thinks that India, the general people of India, the citizens of India are foolish. They are not, irrespective of the fact that what the judgment has come in today and how you put the evidence and what the judge really made out of that evidence. There are some points which are, they're red flags. He says that there are pictures which have no negatives, so I can't make my judgment on that basis. He says that the CBI puts in, they did not submit certain videos in a sealed envelope, so now conclusions can be drawn. That is all right. It's the court's judgment. It's acceptable. But suddenly for the BJP to say that all these leaders were not at all involved, they were so innocent that they sent people to demolish, or they did not know at all that the Babri Masjid would be demolished. How were they planning to construct this temple, fly on the Pushpak Rath and construct it in air? So, I mean, you can say what you want, but India knows what it is, and you did plan it, and you planned it very strategically. You planned it for political reasons, not because of any faith or your belief in God, Ram.
Vijayji,
That is,
Vijayji, for the better part of the last 28 years, sir, the world looked at Ayodhya through the images of those car sevaks who had climbed on top of those domes of that structure which was known as the Babri Masjid. Of course, the right-wing ecosystem completely disagrees with that. But we saw people climbing on top of that dome. Now today, the judge says they were anti-social elements. Please explain to me as a bureaucrat, Vijayji, how does an anti-social element end up climbing on top of an ASI protected monument, disputed, which is the subject of such a bitter political discourse, and none of these great political visionaries have any role. All these great political visionaries and leaders are very proud of their movement demanding a Ram temple, but none of these great political leaders have any clue as to who are these anti-social elements who are responsible for destruction of this structure.
Bhupenji, let's recall why people had gathered on 6th of December 1992. They were asked to come to do Kar Seva. And it was planned, and the Supreme Court was informed that it will be very peaceful kind of operation, and people will come and वो सरयू की बालू लेकर आएंगे और थोड़ा सा जो वो है शिलान्यास स्थल, the शिलान्यास was done during the Congress regime. Let's remember that. वहाँ पर डालेंगे और चले जाएंगे. And for that, the whole gathering was called. And who had organized this gathering? Let's remember that. Who all were the parties who were asking for it and who had gathered these people? The same organizations which are today, saying that nothing has happened and, everybody is fine. So organizations call these people. So if you call criminal elements in your group, or if you call, anti-social elements, it's your problem. Bhupeji, that the danger is this case. If people are allowed to go scot-free, it will send a message that if you are in a crowd, you have the license to do anything you want with any property or any institution, because then it will be blamed on the crowd, unknown crowd, and it will be argued that they were a group of anti-social elements, and all those who had organized all these gatherings are not responsible. This is totally against our law of the land. When somebody organizes a gathering or a rally or meeting, they are supposed to give the undertaking that it will be peaceful and everybody will behave properly. So all those who were present there and all those who organized it are squarely responsible for whatever happened on 6th December.
I think that's an important point, because Mr. Bhatt, I went into great detail the report which was prepared by Justice Manmohan Singh Libahan of the famous Libahan Commission, which also went on for almost 18 years before it gave its own order. Now, look at what Vijayji is saying. That if you accept this verdict today, Bhatt Saab, you are effectively saying that you could be anybody. Are you legitimizing the rule of mob? Are you legitimizing mobocracy if you were to accept this judgment today?
Yeah, I'm not legitimizing anything, because the judge is bound to decide on the basis of the evidence before him, not on the basis of impression. The judge felt that the evidence is not sufficient to convict anybody, and therefore now your next course is not by arguing it any amount till the cows come home, but it won't help anyone.
No. But explain to me, sir. For all our viewers, Mr. Bhatt, for all our viewers, since you've been associated with this case for so long, sir, please explain to me, how does one make peace with the fact that an L.K. Advani or a Rajnath Singh or a Sadhvi Nitambra or members of the Ram Janmabhoomi Nyas Samiti would give a call to car sevaks? Those car sevaks and those Ram Bhakts, then they land in Ayodhya, and then they engage themselves in an activity which leads to the demolition of the Babri Masjid. Then how is it that these leaders who gave the clarion call asking them to assemble should not be held guilty of being involved in this conspiracy?
Bhupen, of course, I joined the Ayodhya issue, that case, after the demolition took place. That is not the question. But then there was already a suit pending regarding the title. So if somebody says that, look, mandir wahi banayenge after succeeding in the case, because then at the point of time there was no question of any evidence regarding a structure below the masjid. And therefore, it would end on the day when this was demolished. Supreme Court was hearing a public interest litigation to prevent all parties to come to a settlement, and Justice Venkatachalaya was taking a lot of trouble for a number of days. And on one side, in the Supreme Court, the case was going on, and Kalyan Singh was giving an assurance that nothing would happen. So, these circumstances, there are many cases where you think that a crime has been committed, but who committed is not known. As far as the judge is concerned, he has to go by who committed according to the evidence presented.
So that is what I'm trying to understand. That's exactly the point I'm making. That if we accept this judgment, Juiji, what is the next course? Is there any political party, the Samajwadi Party or anyone else, which thinks that maybe there should be another legal review which should be attempted, or do you think this is where it should really be allowed to rest now?
Bhupen, there is a political party. I am not too sure because this decision has to be taken at higher quarters. But I actually personally think that we need a closure. This issue has been dragged by the BJP and it is going on. And today this judgment, I would call it a bizarre judgment, but the judge thought it was correct, so he delivered it. UP has serious issues. We have a serious law and order problem. We have a chief minister who does not even recognize that there is a problem. So as a political party, we are dealing with that. But I'm sure there are other, we were not even a party to this entire case. There might be individuals who will be going to court who think it is unfair and actually.
But you think the matter should be rested? You think post the Supreme Court order also, now that there is the ownership question also settled, let sleeping dogs lie. No point in dragging this case on. Is that what your view is?
I don't find any point in dragging it because it just gives the BJP a stage or a platform to tell more lies, to misguide the people of India, and to use the same thing. The messengers of God giving clarion calls of emotion and faith. In India is emotional and a faithful country. So I think they should start working with the political mandate which they got, which they haven't been, and that is what we'll hold them accountable to. Yes.
All right. And final question to you then, Gopalji. Is this, with this verdict now, the long saga of a demand for a Ram temple in Ayodhya and trying to work out, literally whitewashing, the names of all those who were accused, does that long saga now come to an end today, Gopalji?
I think this is everything has been settled. The Supreme Court has also given verdict about the Ram temple. The construction has started. This has been now accused. The issues are now academic. Everything legally has been settled, and it is in the interest of the country that we bury this all thing, because the issue basically in the Supreme Court today, where it has been acquitted, is not about the thing as Mr. Advocate Bhatt said, whether the crime has happened or anything has been happened, a conspiracy was there or not. But the issue is simply that these 32 people who had been charged for this conspiracy theory, there is no evidence that they were involved into the conspiracy to demolish that disputed structure. That's limited thing that has come, and now the extension of this discussion will lead us to nowhere. Ultimately, this has been for more than 500 years. There is no evidence about any Babri Masjid or anything. There are several other issues through which that has been settled, that this was a historical wrong which has been now rectified, and there are several things which can be part of historical analysis but are not relevant in the current state, and to take them in future.
All right, Gopalji, Vijay Shankar Pandey, K.N. Bhatt, and Juji, thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us. I think Gopal Krishna Agarwal is right when he says that with this, there is no point of dragging this case anymore. If the question of ownership, if the real crux of the argument, which was who owns the land, If that crux of the argument has been settled, then what does one gain by consistently trying to drag this case anymore? Maybe India has moved on. Maybe we will look at what has happened today by the special CBI court, maybe 20 years down the line, and maybe this debate that we're having today will be looked at. How is it that you could not find a single ream of evidence, a single ream of truth, despite the case being investigated for 28 long years? Thanks so much.